We are 8 weeks away from Unstoppable Women. So if you haven't heard about this event and this is the first time you're hearing of it, oh my gosh, where have you been? It is time to check out the details. It is a full day transformational event happening in Brisbane on the 29th of August at the Brisbane Entertainment and Convention Centre. This is about shaking up the events industry and giving you a transformational event that's going to change the way that you think about business, the way you think about yourself, and the way that you show up online and in business. Every single speaker has been curated to create an incredible experience for you. So I want you to think the mix between Tony Robbins and Business Cheeks. It's not just about motivation. It's not just about taking notes. It's about shifting something within you. From incredible speakers like Erica Kramer, the Queen of Confidence, Tina Tower, who's the founder of Her Empire Builder, and Annika Odendahl from Pink Sparrow Social, I cannot wait to help you change the game this year for you and your business. So if you have not got your tickets yet, it is time to secure your spot. There are Bring a Bestie tickets. So if you want to bring a friend along so you're not alone and you won't be alone afterwards because you'll be making a whole bunch of new business besties. But grab your business bestie ticket now before they run out. And VIPs, I think there's only like 5 left. So you better grab your ticket ASAP. Check out the link in the show notes to grab your ticket now. Welcome to the Next Level Life podcast with Christine Corcoran. This podcast is made for the powerhouse businesswomen who are ready to ignite their fullest potential. This is where we will dive deep into the mindset breakthroughs and sprinkle in some kick up the butt motivation so you can scale your business with confidence and clarity. Whether you're craving more income, impact, or inspiration, this podcast will be your ultimate resource for all things next level. Listen in as we have authentic conversations with game-changing female entrepreneurs as we reveal the secrets of what it takes to rise and thrive. So go ahead, ignite your inner fire, and let's get you taking massive aligned action. Are you ready to elevate? Let's go. In today's episode, I want to talk to you about what I'm noticing is what's shifting in the online space or when it comes to sales in general in business. Because if you are feeling it, as in you're finding that conversion times are taking longer, that people are having more questions, that there's been a lot more hesitation, that people aren't spending as willy-nilly as they used to be, something definitely has shifted. But I also want to say it hasn't, because I'm going to talk to you today about what's working and what's not working in sales right now. But I want to highlight as well that if you started your business around the 2020 time, there was like a window, like 2020, 2021, 2022, where business was actually easier. So I just want to highlight this because I feel like what's shifting now is that people who started their businesses back then almost like created this norm of like, well, this is what normally it happens in business. But it was actually a really unique window in history that I feel like we need to reflect on and learn from, but also not take it as the norm, because actually this is the norm. So when economies have shifted and changes of consumer behavior and all these different shifts and changes that have happened. Now, definitely in the last 5 years, I've very much noticed a shift in consumer behavior when it comes to the way that they're buying. And you have changed. Like you have changed in what you're looking for and what you're not like believing anymore, right? So a lot has shifted. So I want to break down what's changed and what you need to change in your business in order to make more sales. Because let's be honest, like the sales strategies that worked back in 2020 and 2021, they're just not cutting it anymore. And it's really showing. So for the people who were selling like their energy, or for people who were selling vibes or really unclear, vague messaging, people weren't just buying into that nonsense anymore. They've gone beyond that, and they're now getting to, almost like shifting away from the energy around buying just on emotion. They're really like looking at the logistical side of things and being like, logically, does this work for me in my business? And so I want to talk to you about what has changed, because it's not that people aren't buying. They are absolutely still buying. It just means that they've change the way that they're buying, which means that you need to upgrade your business strategies. And we need to get better. This is always the case in business. And I even spoke about this back in 2020 when COVID hit and all the different changes that we've seen over the last 5 years. It's not about you being bad at business. It's not about things changing so much that we can't adapt. It's about you getting better and adapting. Because what I'm seeing and what I've noticed in the past couple of years is that it's really like shown the level of commitment from business owners. So for some, it got too hard and they stepped away. For others, it was like they were done. It kind of like was the last nail in the coffin and they were like, nah, I'm going to close my business down. This now time in 2025 is going to show who are sticking around and who have legitimate businesses, but also who are creating offers that actually deliver on what they're promising. This is what's going to stand the test of time, right? And it honestly is something that stands the test of time no matter what no matter what's shifting and changing. Because at the end of the day, if your service or delivery or course or program or whatever it is that you're selling, if it does not deliver on what it says it's going to deliver, it's not going to stand the test of time. And so this also means that there's certain things that need to shift and change, which also you as a business owner should always be adopting and adapting and shifting and changing anyway. So rather than have the mindset of like, oh my God, everything's becoming so much harder, I want you to start paying more attention because the strategies that used to work aren't working. And that's why it feels so much harder because you're still using the same strategies, right? So it's time to update them. All right, let's dive into it. What's not working right now? Old school urgency tactics, right? So when we're using just urgency or scarcity, people are really questioning whether that's even true anymore. And so if your offering is available all the time and you don't have any other specific reason as to why that you don't have that many spots left or that you only have up until this time to purchase, like if there is no legitimate reason why that is the case, then people are like, I'm not buying into that. I'm not even listening to that nonsense anymore because I think we're so done with the fear-based sales strategies. And that's where we use shame or fear or urgency or scarcity. Now, you can use urgency and scarcity in your strategy. You absolutely can, but you want to make sure that you explain why you're doing it. So if you say doors are closing in 3 hours, explain what that means and the reason why you have to start at a certain date. If you only have 3 spots left, communicate why that is. Is it actually true? Because you can use urgency in a more ethical way if that is not true, okay? So just being conscious of that because it creates more resistance and we want to make sure that we're really attracting and nurturing ideal clients to come to us who are really the right fit and they're not just buying based on urgency or scarcity. We truly want the right people to be coming into our programs rather than just being like, oh, I have to have this because it's running out, right? Using FOMO or scarcity to get people in. The next one that's really, really like one of the biggest shifts that I'm noticing at the moment is generic messaging. If your messaging is really vague, if it is not clearly articulating a specific outcome or result, people are walking away from it and they're looking for something else that's much more specific. So what I mean by that is that even in my messaging shifting with my next level mastermind, like I'm even really noticing that like I am going to do a complete overhaul with that and get really super clear on who it's for and who it's not for. Because previously in the earlier stages of running that mastermind in the first couple of years, it really was for everyone in business that was in that scale phase. It was for women in business who already earn 6 figures that wanted that next level of support. And I was really like keeping it open for people who were scaling in multiple different ways. But that's not cutting the mustard anymore. People are looking for specific solutions to specific problems they're experiencing, and they want to make sure that it's the right fit for them. So really what you want to think about this with regards to your program is what is the specific outcome or result that someone is going to achieve, and what is the actual problem that it solves? Because if that's not clear, they're often going to others that are communicating that more effectively. So especially as well, like you want to make sure that it's setting you apart from everybody else. And I think that people have been really conscious of that, but they're not really owning it. So I feel like the ones that are really working really well right now, like the offers that are hitting where people are buying, they're nailing this really unique space and they're not scared to say who it's for and who it's not for. So we've got to be stepping away from that fear of like, oh, if I niche too much and if I say it's not for this person, I'm going to miss out on sales, which can be really uncomfortable, but it's what's actually going to set you apart from a lot of other people. So we've got to step away from generic messaging and clearer, more specific messaging. And what I mean by that as well, like specific outcomes and results for your program or your course or your offering, whatever it is, and how it specifically solves a specific problem. And I don't know how many times I can say more specific, but we've got to get down to the nitty gritty of that because otherwise if it sounds too much like what everyone else is offering, it's not specific enough. And if it's not clear, so if a client is like reading your sales page and is like, this sounds really nice, but I'm not really sure if it's going to be the right fit for me, we haven't gotten clear enough. Does that make sense? So one of the 2 stages of where people get stuck in the sales process is usually if the facts don't match. So if the offer doesn't match the needs of what the customer is looking for, so they go through the logistical part of They logically look at it from that side of their brain to be like, okay, what is included? What do I get? What doesn't it give me? Like all of those things to be like, is this the right fit for me and where I'm at in my business or where I'm at with my life with what I need, right? So we look at those types of facts, but then we step into the next phase, which is the emotional resistance phase, which is where we ask the question of, is this going to work for me? And the people who are getting frustrated with that question is usually because we're not clear on who it is really for and who it's not for, and how to articulate and overcome that fear of that person investing. So when they're in that state of fear, in that resistance, if our messaging doesn't really communicate how it's truly going to work for them, they will then scroll on. So we've got to get so much more clearer and so much more specific. So one of my clients recently, she has a group program, and I asked her to go specifically to her community where she nurtures and supports her community, and ask them exactly what are some specific daily outcomes that they've gotten from the work that they've been doing together. Because we want to get it in their words, in their language that communicates those results and outcomes. Because sometimes when we're in it, it's so hard to even uncover what that is. Now, secondly to this, sometimes it's because our brain doesn't work like that naturally. So we're not like wired to be like, let's look at the specific outcome and transformation that my program looks at. It's often we go to the what's included or how it works, but that's not what people buy. People buy the result and the outcome. So if we're unclear on that, people are just scrolling on and moving on, right? All right. The next thing that's not working at the moment is over-reliance on just Instagram content. And I'm seeing this so much, and I'm like drumming it into my people in my programs, because we cannot just rely on just Instagram content, B-roll, reels. Like, yes, it's all important for awareness and attraction, 100%. And we want to use some of our content for conversion content, but it cannot be the only thing that you use. It cannot anymore. We've got to actually improve what we're doing to serve our customers at a higher level. So this means longer form content. So whether you're doing it with your podcast, whether you're offering masterclasses, whether you are doing blogs, whether you're doing YouTube videos, like whatever it is, in a longer form of content that actually solves specific problems on a smaller scale to help people realize that they need you further, right? So like, you going through this podcast right now is a longer form piece of content. Hopefully you walk away from this and do a little bit of an audit on your sales pages or on the way that you're presenting your offers in your business, and be like, okay, am I using old school urgency tactics? And if I am I using it with integrity? Am I communicating clearly why I have that in place? 2, do I have too much of generic messaging going on? Is my messaging vague? Is it not really hitting specificity? Can I get much clearer, and can I be much more specific on who it's for, who it's not for, but also what's the specific problem that I'm solving? Next, am I just relying on IG content to get me the sales? Because that's also not cutting the mustard, right? So that's what I'm hoping you do, like look at this and be like, okay, how do I get the key pieces that I need to shift and change the results in my business? And I'm hoping this podcast will do this for you. So if you're relying too much on IG content, it's time to expand and be like, how can you solve and dive deeper into communicating your opinion, how you can communicate how you work with people, how you can communicate the transformation. Like, you need to go a lot deeper, and you need to give more. You need to give more. This is the space of business that we're in. If people aren't getting value from you, and IG content alone is not enough value. I just want to say that so fucking clearly. IG content is not enough value, because it's often so quickly scrolled through that they're not really getting anything from you. So we want to use Instagram to drive people to other bigger pieces of content that will serve them in a bigger way. There's lots of other ways that you can do that too. Like, it can be obviously in your broadcast channel, or it could be in your podcast, or it could be in your freebies. Like, there's so many ways that you can go about doing this, but using just IG content alone is not a sales funnel. Okay, the next one is energy only selling. Now, I feel like we've gone way beyond this, but I wanted to talk about it just in case that I feel like some of the people out there are still experiencing this. But because I don't even rate it, it's one of those things that I just don't even see anymore. And it's where people sell their energy, of like what it's like to be in my energy. It's like just come in, and like they're selling like being close to me and proximity, right? Which really is just not cutting it again. It's just not cutting it. It needs to be paired with a clear strategy and messaging that actually speaks to the current buyer. It needs to actually communicate what the hell are they going to get. So previously people were trying, and this was very much in the coaching industry. I saw that a lot where it was like, hey, and it would go that you want to come and work with me, you get to work with me the next 3 months. And it was like straight to a sales page. Sorry, it was straight to actually a cart page where it was like, here, just spend the money with no clear outcome of like, what am I going to get for this? What support is there? And they were just getting into some type of group container where there was real no structure. And this is the thing that people are looking for so much right now. They're looking for the solution. Am I going to get the solution to the problem that I'm experiencing? Do you have structure? Have you done this before? Have you had clients experience this before? And have you helped them get them to the solution that I really want? If that is not clear, people are like, vibes, I don't care. I don't care about the vibes anymore. It means nothing. So I know that if you're listening to this podcast, you're actually not that type of person anyway. So I'm not saying that, but I just want to highlight that is that, again, is just bringing it back to what am I actually getting from this? Because it's coming back to that stage of resistance of like, is this the right fit for me? And what am I actually going to get? Is this going to work for me? And then the last one I want to talk to really is the one size fits all sales funnel. This is where we're either not niching enough and we're not serving, we're not communicating value at a more effective way. And it's where like some of the templates and where like even in Kajabi do this, where it's like, oh, have a freebie and then a 7 email sequence to convert to your offer. Now, that's actually such a basic funnel that again, it's not working anymore because people are needing so much more nurturing, so much more connection, and they need to feel deeply aligned with you and they need to see the value of working with you. So they actually need much more value before then converting. And so there's a way that you can look at this. So if you were in your business right now, you could go back and hopefully your systems allow you to do this. But in Kajabi, I can basically go back and look at a contact that anyone has signed up to anything in the past from me. It could be a masterclass, a challenge, it could be a freebie, it could be an event, like whatever it is. If I go into the contact, I can see what they've consumed with me. So I can see, and I can go back to, and I do this with anyone that joins any of my programs. I go back and I look at, okay, where have they come from and how long did that take for them to convert? So what did they actually consume and what was the value that they got from me and in the period of time before they then converted? Because sometimes there's a time factor of like people have to get into the right headspace. They have to be the right point of business in order to convert, whatever that might be. But there is a way that you can reverse engineer that. So ideally what you want to do is go, okay, so for the people that have converted with you, can you go back and look at what did they download? What did they access? How much connection did they have with you? Did you chat with them in the DMs? How can we take that and look at that funnel and be like, okay, how can I improve that? How can I speed up the process? How can I add more value? And so this is where like the funnels are getting a little bit more complicated, but really focused on free value that not only gives them a win, but also supports them and shifting a mindset block that may be preventing them from investing. So we're nurturing through that emotional resistance phase to get them ready to buy. And that's when our lead magnets and our freebies and anything that we're doing needs to have that concept in mind. Otherwise, we're just creating content that's just, again, a filler. So we want to consider what are the biggest objections our ideal client is having and how can I nurture them through overcoming those objections with my free content in nurturing them. Because they want it, they need it, and there's a way to go about it with a sales strategy that will support your funnel to convert quicker. So we want to think about that when it comes to that. So again, stepping away from one size all fits funnels, it's just like, how do we really look at our own ideal client and what they need and what their objections are and what challenges that they're coming up against and what value they need before they convert. Okay, let's talk about what is actually working right now. So first one's first is one of my favorites is connection. Connection first sales. So what I mean by that is you've got to build a relationship with people. This is where voice notes, DMs, intimate conversations, connection at events, personalized follow-up. People really want to be seen and heard and nurtured through that conversation to get ready to buy. And they want to feel like it's actually more about you caring rather than actually about the sale, right? Like I know I can absolutely help clients once they make the decision to convert, but I'm not sitting in scarcity and desperation being like every conversation has to lead to a sale, right? That's not the energy we want to go into it. We want to go into it with nurturing and holding space for someone to get ready. And so some people are going to convert and some people aren't going to convert, and that's okay. So we just want to focus firstly on connection. How do we build more connection into everything that we're doing? So you can build more connection into your content. Sometimes I see this where people are getting so caught up in ChatGPT that it's so speaking at people instead of with people. So I want you to think about that with your content. How can I speak more with people rather than at people? The next one is value stacking and clear transformation. Like I said before, specificity is really, really key. You've got to get really bloody clear on the actual outcomes that people are going to experience with your service offering. Otherwise, people are just moving on. They need to still see real client proof and then social proof as well. So we're going beyond just testimonials. This is like deep case studies, right through to screenshots of breakthroughs, right through to seeing behind the scenes of your program and what it's like to be coached by you, what it's like to be supported by you. So we're really thinking about like behind the scenes content really, really helps with this part. And then getting really clear on that transformation. That's why I was saying to you before, like with that client, I said to them, go into the community and ask these specific questions to get their feedback on what the actual outcomes are, because that's what's actually going to drive decisions. We need to get really clear on that. And sometimes if we're in our own head about it, it can be hard to determine what they are. So what is the clear transformation that you're promising? And how can you double down on that promise? People are needing so much more certainty right now. So much more certainty. They don't want to invest in something that's not going to give them the outcome. They want clarity. So you don't have to promise the world, but you can absolutely promise what you can promise, right? So for instance, I can have someone come into my program and learn, like, for instance, like Unstoppable Sales, and they're going to absolutely learn how to sell more effectively, how to sell authentically, how to understand the sales process, how to build out a strategy to support the growth of their business. Now, I also speak to the fact that this can earn you 10K months, but I'm not promising that, because depending on the stage of business that you're in, you may need to spend a lot more time building your audience. You may need to spend a lot more time nurturing and adding value and educational content before people can trust you. And so that can take time. So I'm not going to promise that within that 4 months, you're absolutely going to hit 10K months. But if you're further along, now, if you're already earning 5K to 8K months, I pretty much can guarantee that I'm going to get you 10K, right? Because I know that you've already got the audience, you've already got the existing clientele, you've already got the case studies and the proof that we can use in your sales strategies. That I know, I can literally give you a list of clients that I've done that with. So where can you get clearer on the transformation that you create and hone in on that? Because again, like this is where I'm also finalizing my messaging as well with this program, because I want to make sure that I get those clients in that are in that phase, because I absolutely know I can get them that result. So I want you to get clear with that as well for you. And this is where we can kind of get fearful, or we get stuck in a bit of scarcity because we're like, oh, if I niche that much, I'll miss out on other people that might buy in. But it's actually doing the complete opposite. It's actually not converting the people that you really want in, because they don't really know it's truly for them. Because they're like, oh, this is more of a generic program, it's for everyone, instead of actually specifically for me. So when you get really clear on that transformation and start communicating it and like own it, like freaking own it. All right. Next one, multi-touch nurture. Like I said before, it's about sales funnels. Like improving the middle of your funnel is so key. Because if you're still doing like the old school funnels where it was like freebie to an email sequence to then to an offer, that's not working anymore, because they need much more nurture in the middle. So we need to like bulk up the middle strategy in order for you to be able to have the outcomes that you're really wanting from your funnel. Clear positioning and a strong point of view. Now, I've spoken a lot about the clear positioning, like who you are, who you work with, who it's for, who it's not for, right? All of that. But I want you to take it one step further. How can your point of view cut through the noise? I want you to get so clear on what you agree with and what you don't agree with, and start bloody saying it. Because if you don't, people don't know, and they don't know that you're the right person to work with them. There are plenty of people out there that will have a very similar opinion, or even will respect you for having that opinion, even if it's different from their own. So acknowledging, like, for you to cut through the noise, you've got to have a strong point of view. So what are your strong points of view, and how can you start communicating them more effectively? Okay, last two, offers that meet people where they're at. Like I said, clear, problem-focused, making sure that it's serving them, and paying attention and listening to your ideal client. If you're getting a lot of questions or objections around price, we want to not shy away from that. Maybe we need to improve the sales process first. I would always look at improving the sales process first. Secondly, I would look at your competition and see what else is currently out there in the market. Not too far in depth that you get into comparison, but just being conscious of aware of what's out there in the market. And then we want to go, how do we make it easier for them to say yes? So do we need to adjust the pathway? So I'm seeing this as well with a lot of businesses of like, how we, one, building up the middle of the funnel, and secondly, can we adjust? Like even with Unstoppable Sales, previously I've had a investment that actually includes one-on-one coaching. And so what I've actually discovered over the last couple of months with chatting to a lot of clients is that they just want access to the program and the group component at a lower investment rate, and then they can have the option to upgrade. So I'm actually adjusting that for the next round. So people can come in at a lower investment rate, and then they can invest more in one-to-one if they would like it. But the fact is that I was actually excluding people financially because they couldn't afford the $3,000 investment, right? And so even though I value the one-on-one so much, I've also seen the value in my program and in the group coaching. Like, people get so much support in Unstoppable Sales within Slack, within the community, as well with the group coaching. So we do 2 group coaching sessions a month. One is a full open Q&A for everyone. And then the second one is a smaller group. I break down everyone into smaller groups, and then I chat with every single person and coach every single person in that group. So they get so much support already. And so I wanted to actually create an opportunity for the people to come in at a lower investment to get the support to really work on their sales, knowing that they really need it to make more money to invest in more coaching, right? So I'm listening, I'm paying attention, I'm having those conversations and doing the market research to see what feels doable for people. Because if people are in states of really wanting to invest with you, but then finances is always an issue, we want to consider, am I actually pricing myself for the right market that I want to work with? Because if you're constantly having conversations with people that you actually are like, these are my perfect dream clients, but it's always an investment conversation and they just don't have the financial opportunity, then we want to adjust that. We want to consider, hang on a minute, what's happening here? Am I pricing myself out of the market that I really want to work in? And how can I adjust that? So for me, it was like, okay, well, I'm just going to take out the one-on-one coaching sessions and give them the opportunity to be a part of the program. And then later on, if they want to have more one-on-one, they can. They can absolutely do that later on, right? And it's not going to change the transformation. I feel like it's one of those things that when I first launched the program, I was like, I really love the one-on-one because I can make a deeper transformation. So we do a lot of deep money mindset work, and even any other mindset work that is preventing them from stepping into their next zone of genius or to really challenge the way that they can confidently put themselves out there, right? And so the strategies that I teach are still super freaking valuable, and the mindset work that I've got in the program is still really valuable. And so I needed to listen to that and be like, it's okay. Some people will really want the one-on-one and will want to invest in that, and other people won't, and that's okay. So pay attention and listen to your ideal clients. And if you're not sure what even that they're saying, go and have more conversations. And then lastly, your confidence. Your confidence is magnetic. And if you are in limbo, if you're in uncertainty, if you're in scarcity, people can feel it. So it's so important that you work on your mindset and do the belief work in order for you to feel confident in going out and promoting your offers, because that's where it can be the clincher for people to invest. Because everything else might be perfect. You might have a great strategy, you might have a great sales page and all the things, but then when they see you and they speak to you and your confidence is coming from a place of desperation or uncertainty, that's going to make them run a mile. So that's where the mindset piece comes into play. You've got to develop your confidence in your communicating your value and making sure that you are communicating how you are the perfect fit for them to work with. Okay, let's wrap it up. A few little things that I'd love for you to reflect on from this episode. 1, where are you holding onto strategies that no longer feel aligned, that you know energetically you're like, that's no longer working. But you're like, oh, it used to work. It used to work. It's time to let that go. Secondly, where do I need to upgrade my sales messaging? Really look at this, because this is so key. If it's time, like especially in this market, you've got to get much more specific, much clearer on your outcomes and your results, and communicating that more effectively. And lastly, what's one way I can lean in more deeply to relationship-led selling? Remember how I spoke about connection? Start leaning into more relationship-led selling, and you will start to shift and change your business for the better. All right, if you would love to know more about Unstoppable Sales, or actually, I've got something really cool coming up, but I forgot to tell you. So on the 15th to 17th of July, I have my Your First 10K Month Challenge, which is a magnetic sales challenge for women in business, for service-based business owners who are really wanting to create consistent, confident income in their business. So if you are sitting around the $5,000 mark and you really want to hit your first 10K month or your next, maybe it's been a while since you've hit your last 10K and you really want to get back into the consistency of it, come and join me for the challenge. It's going to be 3 powerhouse days, 3 sessions over 3 days, and it's complimentary, and it's called Your First 10K Month. Check out the link in the show notes and join us. It's going to be phenomenal. All right, lovely. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I hope that you found this super valuable. Thank you for listening, and if you found any value out of this episode, make sure you hit the follow button so you get access to the episodes as soon as they are live, and make sure you come hang out with me on Instagram. You can find me at ChristineCorcoran_coach. Have an incredible week.